Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and this is going to be interesting. What a delight to have with us today Ann Trimble. She's president of RealMoneyUSA.com, author of several books, Gold, Silver, Money, and Your Future, a true story about God's refining grace, and she's a precious metal dealer and a world-class eschatologist. Now, the only thing lacking here is that she jumps tall buildings and outruns locomotives. Hi, Ann. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Perry.
Nice to have you with us today. Well, a lot here to talk about in a short amount of time, but I'm fascinated with your combination of prophecy and investments. How did you connect these two?
Well, it was very interesting. I've been in the financial world, and because I've been a student of Bible prophecy, I went to Dallas Seminary to study eschatology and really learn the theology of the end times. I know that's really what God's called me to do, to warn people. But I knew He didn't want me to sell the stuff that I was learning about. And so I started our prophecy meetings again. We had an international Bible prophecy meeting with Dave Hunt and Hal Lindsey and all those guys way back in the 80s and 90s. And then my husband got sick, and we had to we curtailed it. We stopped. And he got sick, so I wanted to walk back into my call, and I had a prophecy meeting, invited everybody over who cared about the last days. And at the end of the meeting, a lady pulled me aside, and she said, "What do I do with my money?" Well, I knew what the answer was, but I didn't think that's what God was going to ask me to do. And so as it turned out, that's how I got into this business. And now, because I've studied for so long, I also have a degree in journalism. I've researched the economic piece to the end times puzzle. That's what I call it. And not very many prophecy teachers understand it. I've been invited to do many interviews about it because I believe it's going to be the piece that takes the United States out as a world power.
Very interesting, very interesting. So let me ask you just a short, powerful question. Given everything that we see going on today, do you believe we are in the last days?
Oh, I absolutely believe we're living in the last days.
Okay, so a lot of people have made investments various ways, from real estate to bonds and all the other things that we do. What is the answer to that question? What do we do with our money if we are actually on the verge of some kind of an economic collapse?
Well, the answer is to own God's money, and that's why I wrote the book, Gold, Silver, Money, and Your Future, a biblical view of real money. Because God does not believe in paper dollars. I'm going to be perfectly frank. This book talks about God's view of money versus man's view of money. And when our paper money used to be backed by what God created, gold, it had value. But it doesn't have value anymore. So the answer is to own gold and silver and precious metals. That in lieu of your paper dollars. The $1 bill in your pocket, Perry, is worth 2 cents, if that much. And so it's very urgent because of what's pending nationwide. There's an alliance that's formed to take the dollar down as the world's reserve currency, and they intend to do it this year. And so I would get precious metals as soon as possible.
Interesting. Now, a lot of people will say in managing a portfolio, diversify, diversify, diversify. How much of a portfolio would you recommend being in precious metals?
Well, it's very interesting. One of my best sources is a guy. His name is James Dale Davidson, and he's been an he was an advisor, economic advisor for 8 presidents. He came out about a month ago, and he said you should have 2 things, cash and gold. Because when these 57 nations take us out as a world's reserve currency, the dollar will be devalued, he says, up to 90%. Whatever you have in any paper instrument. And you see, what I like to tell people is that we're a consulting company. You don't call us up and get 2 minutes. What do you have? I'll sell you this. We sit down because I was a financial advisor, and I my team understands. And so we do diversify your portfolio with all types of different metals. But that's what Davidson says, cash and gold and silver, and that we're at an unprecedented time in America.
So, Ann, how do you know you're getting real gold? I mean, sometimes there's paper gold. So how do you recommend getting around that?
Well, that's a great question. When I got into this business, I was fortunate to be mentored by the man I consider to be a very godly metals dealer. He's been in it probably 40 years now, and we became friends. And so I only buy my metals from sources who I know sell the real thing. You have to be careful out there, very careful.
Okay. In the past, you foresaw the 2008 crash, and you warned a lot of your clients. What did you see then that you might see again now?
Well, what I saw then that I'm seeing now is that, like last week's job report, we don't have any jobs developing in this country. I see major corporations going under. Last time I saw AIG going under. I saw the auto industry. I saw the housing industry. And so nationwide, believe it or not, some of these same elements of the industries are in this situation. But let's take the student loan bubble. That is a huge bubble, over $1 trillion. And kids can't pay them back. That's a bubble. So because the United States is in so much debt, I just, and we have to have a budget approved by October 1st. That's typically why the crashes come in October, because there is no budget, and the third quarter reports of all these major companies like Sports Authority, it's gone out. Walmart, it's eliminated a lot of its stores. I mean, even companies like, tech companies, Facebook and others are having, economic problems. So those are all indicators that our economic situation in this country is not good.
All right, we have gone from 8 trillion to 19 trillion. Some say it's going to be a whole lot worse, and it may even get worse before it gets better. Is that the noose around our neck?
Absolutely, that is the noose around our neck. And the other world powers know it. And because they hold part of that debt, in particular, these 57 nations have formed an alliance, and they did it in 2014. But in December of 2015, they actually opened up their new IMF, their new World Bank. And it's headed by China and Russia, of course, because they hate us, and they've been dumping dollars, they call it, because they know they're worthless. And so our debt is the cause of the whole problem. Now, if Fort Knox was stocked with gold, we would be in a much better position, but Fort Knox is empty. And so this country is just really left with nothing but over 200 trillion when you consider corporate, municipality, personal, and federal debt, state debt. And, Perry, we just can't meet our debt obligations. It's destroyed us.
For our viewers and listeners, by the way, Ann's website is realmoneyusa.com. And does the Bible speak of this, where we are?
I believe it really does, because I'm looking at 2 Timothy chapter 3, and it says, in the last days, perilous times will come. And it talks about all kinds of, perilous times. But, I could sit here and list Ecclesiastes 10:19. The end of that verse, it says, money answereth all things. And so if we don't have money, we can't pay our bills, we can't look after our children, we can't look after our senior citizen parents. And money, in the world's view, is a piece of paper with a number written on it, because Nixon took us off the gold standard. But God's money is gold. So I believe the scriptures have told us very clearly to own his money. But unfortunately, Matthew 24 also says, 2 times Jesus says when the disciples ask him, what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age, that deception would be the greatest characteristic. And I believe economic deception is the greatest one right now, especially in this country.
This may be a little bit of a political question, and I don't mean it to be, but it appears that our leaders just don't get this. I mean, we know we have a president that has certainly run up the debt, but we've had a Congress that has actually enabled that to happen, especially by passing the omnibus bill. What are they thinking?
Well, I say this, all of them are involved in understanding this. Some have tried hard to try to get a balanced budget, a few of them, but it's really our president who's caused the majority of the quantitative easing. Because in 2008, he's the one who bailed out Bank of America. He's the one who bailed out the auto industry. He's the one who bailed out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And so the government literally owns these entities, and then he started printing money to try to keep from a depression happening in 2008. It was about to go down in 2008. And so it is definitely a politically involved issue.
Well, let me say to our viewer, way too short on this. I apologize, Ann. We need to get you back. Fascinating. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, realmoneyusa.com is Ann's website. You may want to check out the book, Gold, Silver, Money and Your Future. And then, of course, A True Story of God's Refining Grace. There are a couple of books that she's authored. Are they available at your website?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And I think there's much to think about here and to ponder, because the last question I have, and I'm going to be over time here, but let me ask you this. If everybody buys gold, but the value of the dollar's gone down, then how do they cash in their gold?
Perfect question. I answer it every day. When the money is gone, then you're going to trade. That's why metals is called trading. And it's always best to trade back with the company you bought it from. And you're going to get the new paper money. You just have to trade some of your metals for it.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, Ann. Let's get you back, okay?
Okay, that'd be great, Terry.
All right. God bless you. All right. We'll be right back.
God bless you, too.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at thedove.us.